Welcome to the Niche Pursuits Podcast. Are you ready to discover some niche business ideas that actually work? Well, it's time for a motivational kick to jumpstart your next big idea. Here's your host, Spencer Haas.
So here we are. We are on coaching call number 3, I guess. And I've got Samara with me, of course. Samara, how you doing? Maybe you can give a shout out to everybody.
Hey, everyone. I'm fine. Thanks. How are you doing, Spencer?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, my voice doesn't sound perfect. I think I may be catching something, but I feel fine at this point. So ignore the rough sounding voice. Not that anybody cares, right? So we'll just do it. We'll go, we'll start and we'll see how it goes. So today is kind of going to be an interesting call just because I don't have anything formal planned. I don't have a formal presentation. I don't have anything specific that I want to get to because, well, maybe you can tell us why. I mean, after our last coaching call, we covered a lot, diving into how to pick a niche and doing keyword sampling and looking for those lookalike type websites and all that sort of thing. And I know you had a few questions, so let's just jump into it. What were some of the questions that you had, or what were some of the roadblocks that you ran into after we finished our last call?
Well, I think the problem is that you made it look really easy. And, we picked the kickboxing market to take a look at. And I felt like the first couple keywords you clicked on, you found a bunch of websites with a domain authority of less than 25 and then, with a reasonable site age. And when I went to do it by myself, I didn't find that. I found the competition was just brutal for every keyword I looked at. So I kind of wasn't sure what to do with that or how to go about it with a different angle.
Right.
So I was hoping that we could take a look at a couple more markets today with Longtail Pro and maybe practice a little bit more, because when I did it on my own, it didn't go as smoothly.
Yep. No, and that's perfectly fine. I'm guessing that there's a lot of people in the exact same boat as you out there that would appreciate it if we did sort of go through some more examples, maybe take a step back and look at the steps again, because this is such a critical point of the process that it's worth doing a second call essentially on trying to figure out what niche we're going into. And I will just say that I have been doing this for quite a few years, and I've built lots and lots of websites. And so there may be some things that I think about in my head, like when we went through that kickboxing example, I don't know. I just sort of naturally do some things perhaps that I am not verbalizing quite as well. So hopefully through a couple of more examples, we can figure out what I'm doing to make the keyword research process a little bit easier. And then also, of course, not every niche is going to be easy. We may have just lucked out and just the niche that I picked just seemed to have a lot more keywords that made sense, and the ones that you tried to do just weren't. And so, we're going to have some of those. We're going to have some that are not a good fit to build a website on. So having said that, let's do it. Let's jump in. Maybe we can go over, let's look at a couple of the niches maybe that you looked at. And, we can decide if either we agree with you that, hey, this is too difficult to go into, or if maybe there's a different angle that we can look at to still make the niche work. So
okay.
Do you want to pull up either a document that you had or Longtail Pro, or?
I'm going to pull up Longtail Pro.
Okay.
So I have this one project that I created, and I found one keyword that looked really interesting, but I kind of, I looked at a lot of keywords and only one of them had aligned with the metrics that you mentioned. But then I don't know what to do with that information.
Okay.
Right? Like, what does that keyword mean? Does that, I had asked you this before, like, do you build a site around that keyword? Or what I don't understand is you have this one keyword and everything else is really competitive. You can't enter that niche. Is that right? You just, if there's too much competition, you can't enter it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right. Yep. I do see what you're saying. And so I think it does make sense to look at your specific example to explain the process for, giving it a thumbs up or thumbs down. So go ahead and pull it up, and that'll be great. Yeah. Because I have some ideas for some things that we can look at. So are you able to share your screen?
Okay. So this is a project called jewelry making.
Okay.
Okay. So I found, a fair amount of these long tail keywords with a low KC, right? But the only one that had kind of an interesting competition in Google is this one right here. Sterling silver jump rings for chainmail.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Yep, I can.
Okay. So that's a 12, right?
So you looked at most of these other keywords, right?
Yes.
And so you're saying most of them did not have results with a low domain authority or
exactly
newer type sites. Okay.
Nobody in the top 10 in Google was less than 25, right? They were all super high. So I found this one, right? And so the first one is domain authority of 23 and a site age of 10. The third one's 18. You see this. The fifth one is 16. The seventh one is 23. And the ninth is 16.
Yep. I am seeing that. So you're wondering, where do I go from here, right?
Right. Like I see that
I found one keyword. Right. And that's certainly not a green light, right? To go into an entire niche based on one keyword. And you're having difficulty with these other keywords. So what I then would do is I would pull up some of these weaker sites in SEMrush and start to figure out what else are they ranking for. And the reason I do that is because perhaps in this initial keyword sample, this initial keyword campaign, we didn't think of all the angles. And certainly that's going to be the case. We didn't, perhaps think of all the angles. And so by going to SEMrush and popping in a couple of these websites, we might be able to see what they are ranking for in Google and go, aha, they're coming at it from this direction. And maybe there's a whole treasure trove of keywords with that angle, right? Okay. And so let's go ahead and do that. Maybe we might have to do some back and forth switching. Unless you want to pull it up on your screen on SEMrush. We can do it either way.
Maybe you want to use SEMrush because I think I used my 10 searches today.
Okay. And it did limit you to 10 per day. Okay. All right. Yeah, I thought that maybe that was the case. So I will get this going. So why don't you stop sharing your screen and I will share my screen.
Okay.
So you can see this now, hopefully?
Yep, I can.
Okay, and what was the domain of the first result there? I forgot what it was for that one keyword.
It's chainweavers.com.
Chainweavers.com, like that?
Yep.
Okay. So again, we're going to kind of look at this. We're looking at the traffic, so we can see that it doesn't get a lot of traffic overall. A couple hundred unique visitors a day. They do rank for chainmail, which... Yep. So a lot of chainmail related keywords. So what we could then do, so we could look at going into chainmail. I don't know if you typed chainmail into, was that one of your seed keywords or anything?
It wasn't. Nope.
Okay. So that's kind of, those are some ideas and jump rings, right? So what I am going to do, I'm going to pull up Longtail Pro. And again, this is all just kind of us brainstorming here. So I might look at that and go, let me get you so you can see Longtail Pro here. So I'm going to just see if I can come at it with a different angle, right? So we're going to do chainmail, which, is that really how you spell it?
Okay. I've seen both, which is a question I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
What do you do in that kind of case? Does it matter how you spell it? If there's two spellings or, different ways of spelling it, does it matter how you put in the seed keyword?
I don't know that I've come across that a lot. I'm just trying to think of other examples for words that are spelled differently. I mean, I would never go after a misspelling. So
right.
If this is truly spelled two different ways, maybe we would want to input both.
Okay.
But I don't know. Yeah. So I guess down here, so maybe I will put chainmail the way it's spelled that way, and then I'll, the other keyword they're ranking for is chainmail ring, so I'll put that, and then maybe jump rings. That's something else. And before I actually run this project, let's look at the other low competition website or two, and maybe input, their seed keywords that they're ranking for, right?
Okay.
So what was the one of the other websites that was in the top 10? Well,
if you scroll down, I think where the competitors are.
Oh, were they there?
Yeah.
Is it the Midwest or?
Yep. And We've Got Mail, both of those. And Urban Mail, the fourth one too.
Oh, okay. Interesting. We've Got Mail is the one that's got the most keywords, the highest number that it's ranking for. And it's getting, 1,500 visitors. I mean, just looking at this, I'm not getting super excited, right? I'd love to see a website that's getting 4,000 or 5,000 organic visitors a day. That would get me a little bit more excited. Let's try this. So basically, all of these are chainmail related things. I'm just wondering if there's any additional keywords, chainmail kits. I'm inputting that into Longtail Pro. And then what was the other competitor?
Midwest Mail, the first one, and the fourth one, Urban Mail.
Urban Mail. Let's try that one. Okay. Just because it looks like it's probably getting more traffic. It's ranking for more keywords. So still not that great. Let's see. And pretty much the same seed keywords there as well. So I can pretty much tell you, it looks like, at least from this initial run, I'm going to run it right now, but this isn't looking like a good niche.
It's a dud, right?
Yeah, it's looking like something I wouldn't go into for the very reasons that you just went through this whole keyword sample, and you could only find basically one keyword that had low competition, right? Or that had other weak sites. So that's not a very good sign. So it's becoming difficult for you to find lots of great keywords quickly. Unlike the kickboxing niche, we were able to just sort of find those very quickly. I am doing this one more time just to kind of double check. The other reason it looks like maybe it's not something we want to go into is because of those example websites. They aren't getting a lot of traffic, anywhere from a couple hundred visitors a day to maybe 1,500 visitors a day. We're not finding a lot of high traffic websites that are newer or, very similar type niche sites. And so it's not that exciting, I guess. Right. So this is still going, but, I would come in here. We would basically do the same thing that we did before. We'd look at some of the longer tail keywords. We would filter these out by, let's put 5 there or so. And a lot of these may be ones you've already clicked on, right? So how to make jump rings. A lot of these are how-tos, aren't they?
Yes. Is that good or bad or?
No, it's just not necessarily good or bad.
Okay.
I guess I just have more of a formula for product-based keywords, right?
Okay.
A lot of product-based keywords, I just know from intuition what's going to rank almost just by looking at it. And a lot of it, it's not a big secret. I mean, it's a lot of the formulas that I shared in our last call, adding those modifiers, the best product, the, versus keywords.
Versus, yeah. Okay.
A lot of sort of the other keyword formulas that I mentioned, best practices in our last call. So I'm just scanning these really quickly to see if there's anything outside of how-tos, because we've clicked on a few how-tos. Let's see if there's any other, free chainmail, jewelry patterns. Probably not a very profitable keyword anyways, if they're looking for free stuff.
Right. Anything with free in it? Probably.
Yeah, probably not. No. And so, okay, then I'm going to just...
So you think jewelry making is I guess, too abstract and not product-based enough?
Well, it doesn't have to be product-based, right? That's not a defining factor for me. It's very possible if you had a lot of jewelry making tutorials, you could put together a video course and sell it, or put together, it looks like jewelry patterns maybe you could sell. There's certainly things that you could do, but just based on some of these keywords, it doesn't look like that would be very easy to do, because there's lots of other great websites already doing that, right? So I'm just clicking on some of these to see if we find any really low competition websites. So we've got one, this guy here, and we could kind of keep going down this rabbit hole as long as you want, right? Like I would just take this website, I would punch it into SEMrush and think, okay, is this guy doing anything interesting? Is he getting lots of traffic? Is he ranking for other keywords that make me think outside the box? And no, not really.
Okay.
This guy isn't. So I don't know. We could keep going through here, but I'm just not seeing it with jewelry making and chainmail related keywords.
Okay. Then maybe we should move on.
I think we should move on. Sadly, we will not be making a jewelry making website.
All right. I'm okay with that if you're okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Let's see.
Do you have any that had any other success, that maybe looked like they had some other potentially low competition keywords, but were maybe kind of a sticking point somewhere? Or?
I have another one. You want to look at another one? You
Sure.
can try this one.
Yep.
Okay. So should I share my screen?
Yeah.
So I looked at gardening. Okay. Can you see this? Can you see my screen?
See. Yes, I can now.
Okay. So I found a couple of keywords. I think, gardening is so huge, such a huge market that there must be some kind of angle that you can go at it with. And I just did this kind of an initial look with, the products I found on Amazon, like we did with kickboxing.
Right.
What I wonder is, for example, how to clean leather gardening gloves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't seem like a money keyword.
Right.
Right. So that off the bat, does that mean it's not worth exploring?
Well, and this is kind of jumping ahead, but eventually once we create the website, not every single one of our articles is going to be product focused, right? We will mix it up with some informational keywords like how to clean leather gardening gloves, for example, right? We would probably throw some of those keywords in there. In addition to our more product-focused, easier to monetize type articles, right? So it's okay to write on those topics, but if that's all you have, it would be hard to monetize a website.
Okay. Well, how to build a mini greenhouse. So there's two here, which are kind of just right on the edge of, right on the limits. But this one's kind of a new site. It's only 2 years old. But I wonder... I don't know. I mean, this has potential, right?
HomemadeHomeIdeas.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other one.
TheSelfSufficientLiving.com.
Yeah. Should we pull those up and take a look at what we see?
Let me get rid of. All right. So I wonder when, I know I've heard you say that advertiser competition doesn't matter, but is it a kind of a red flag if all the advertiser competition is low?
Yes.
Okay. So you do want it to be high or medium?
Yeah, yes. We are going to look at that when we do what I call our real in-depth keyword research. Right now we still are just kind of trying to find a niche, right? That's easy to rank for. But yes, when we start picking our keywords, you do want to find some that have probably high advertiser competition. You need to go into a niche that has some sort of commercial intent behind it, right?
Okay.
And so what was the website again?
HomemadeHomeIdeas.com.
HomemadeHomeIdeas.com. Okay, so this definitely gets a lot more traffic. You can see my screen?
Yep, 12,000.
So yeah, yep.
So that's daily, just to confirm, right? You said that's daily.
Correct.
Okay.
And this might not be 100% accurate.
Okay.
But it roughly, right?
Okay.
It gives us a rough idea.
Okay.
And so this starts to give us other ideas that we could go into. Soap recipes, homemade soap, organizing tips, homemade soap recipes.
Can I ask, so it's ranking 11th for homemade soap. Is there a way to see who's ranking first?
We would just have to Google it, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we could take homemade soap and, just punch that really quick into Longtail Pro, right?
Okay, of course, yeah.
But I mean, that's essentially what I would kind of be doing anyways, right? Is I am looking to see if there's any really low, weak websites ranking for this, which there's a couple. Well, no, they're not. They're 29. So anyways, but you could do that.
Okay.
So let's look at this one. This niche is kind of interesting. I have some other ideas, but let's look at these other keywords. So they're ranking for, natural air freshener, how to make a greenhouse, candle ideas. So they do a lot of homemade home ideas.
Yeah.
I guess.
Go figure.
Do-it-yourself coasters, bedroom storage ideas. Boy, they're all over the board. Palette projects. Wow. So this is really interesting. So there are tons. I mean, this is just all. I mean, as you can imagine, there's thousands of do-it-yourself projects, right?
Yeah.
So all of these are kind of different niches in themselves. Soap making, greenhouse making, palette projects.
Mm-hmm.
All of these could have treasure troves of keywords behind them. And so but you do want to start to see at least a few core keywords that you could rank for, right? And so what I would want to do, and this is actually kind of getting away from the gardening niche, because a lot of this is, just do it yourself, home crafts and different projects. What you could do with the keywords that you were showing on your screen before for gardening, a lot of them were, I'm trying to remember, like how to use hand trowel, how to use a rake, or I don't remember what it was, right? Is how to use a lot of these things, but you could take those products, the hand trowel, what's the best hand trowel, or what's the best rake? You could turn them into product focused keywords, right? Mm-hmm. So we could go that route as well.
Okay.
So I don't know if any of this is helping or just raising more questions, to be honest.
No, I think the more I do it personally, the more I understand, for sure. I like looking at this website's other keywords more in depth and seeing that there you have kind of other opportunities to kind of expand. I wonder, is it often, do you find that you create a project about one topic and then you're completely kind of brought into a completely different other field or something completely different? I don't know if that generally happens, or because now we've moved away from the greenhouse, right? You could do any of these things, like you said.
Right. You mean in during sort of the research process?
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's how I've actually found lots of great niches before, is I start out thinking I'm researching one thing, and then I sort of follow the breadcrumbs, if you will, and end up doing something completely different. What I would do is, again, I would look at a lot of these keywords. Whoops, looks like I sorted them. Anyways, I would try to find some keywords here. If we were to research this niche in more depth, I would start thinking, okay, well, which of these do I actually think I have a shot at? And so you'd want to find a few of those.
Okay.
And so there's a couple of different ways we could do that. You could come in here and just try to cherry pick a few. Let me resort this by what's bringing in the most traffic. So what I would usually do is sort of start at the top. I mean, so I might pick, soap recipes.
Okay.
And cheap greenhouse. Let's look for some longer tail keywords, how to make a greenhouse. Is that the one we started on?
I think it was how to make let me see.
Oh, a mini greenhouse or something?
Mini greenhouse, how to build a mini greenhouse.
Okay, well, let's put how to make a greenhouse.
They're all over the place.
They really are. Bedroom storage ideas. And maybe let's just do one more. Homemade bird feeders, why not? Again, I'm just trying to get a feel for how easy or difficult this niche is. So I'm not necessarily saying we're going to write about homemade bird feeders right off the bat. I'm just trying to sense out how easy is it going to be for me to find keywords in this niche.
Okay. Would you stay away from things like homemade and DIY, or not really? They're fair game.
No, they're fair game. I mean, my gut tells me that they're going to be a little bit more difficult, just because it does seem like there's a lot of great websites that rank for a lot of DIY stuff. And I think the point maybe you're bringing up is that it's not as commercial, right? Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I punched in those few, and I mean, you can see the KC score is a 40. There's a lot of really strong websites ranking for homemade bird feeders. For example, what's that keyword? Soap recipes is a 36. I'm not seeing a lot of weak websites, except for the one, of course. Yeah, homemade soap, same. How to make soap. I'm struggling.
Okay.
which usually is a sign that maybe we're just coming at this the wrong angle.
Okay.
You know? And so at this point, I think I've sampled enough here that I'm like, this rabbit hole isn't working.
On to the next.
And that doesn't mean we're crossing off gardening. That just, sort of this little rabbit hole we went down is no good. I mean, we could come back to gardening and say, well, we want to look at gardening tools. Let's make this more product focused.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best gardening tools out there, right? So we could do that. We could come over to Amazon. I can't think of all the gardening tools off the top of my head.
Right.
So let's see, what do we got? Surely there's a. So
I had the problem with going to Amazon for products is that some of the titles are so loaded with keywords that I wasn't sure what the product was actually called, and I had to kind of go in to each one and figure out which words were not part of the product name. You know what I mean?
I can see exactly what you mean here. I mean, this first one obviously is pruning shears, but what's all this about?
Yeah.
This Fiskar 3-piece soft touch garden tool set.
Right.
That's not really a keyword we want to input. Do you want to kind of go down this rabbit hole just for a minute? Or
can we do it just for a minute? Can we just take a look just to see how you do it one more time?
Yeah. So, and again, they don't always have to be product focused, but I've had a lot of success with more product focused things.
Okay.
And so I'm going to input more, pruning. Well, let's add our modifier, best pruning shears.
So you're going to put the modifier in as a seed keyword.
Correct.
Okay.
And I don't always do that, but I think it is good to get as specific as you can often.
Okay.
What is a weeder? Is it a hand weeder? Let's try that. I have no idea.
So you wouldn't put like there's some if you scrolled past something, for example, it was like ambidextrous, blah blah blah. That's way too specific.
Yeah, that's probably too specific.
Okay.
At least at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. For a seed keyword, I think it is.
Okay.
Oh, well, manual weeder, I guess is what it's called.
Okay.
So we'll just try to spend about 5 minutes on this. So I'm going to hurry. I'm going to find a couple more.
Okay. Sorry.
Weed and root remover. What else we got here? Weed scraper.
Yep. There's something there.
Sure. Weed scraper tool. Soil paving hand weeder.
Sounds good. Definitely in the market for a new soil paving hand weeder.
I didn't know I was until I saw it.
Exactly.
Now I've got to have that. A lot of hand weeders. Let's see. I guess that's the one I clicked on. And then, of course, there's tons of lawnmowers and power tools.
Right.
Let's composite trowel. That'll be our last one.
Sounds good.
We'll generate some keywords there. Again, this is all just kind of going down different rabbit holes, initially based on interest that you've had. You had an interest in gardening, so we're kind of
I think that would be cool.
Looking at some of these things. And like I said, once we pull these up, we still eventually might go after some of those other informational, some of those other keywords maybe you saw initially. But we want to make sure there's at least a healthy amount of low competition keywords that we feel like we can make some money with. So I'm going to just start going through here and calculating some of these.
Okay.
Best pruning saw. Wouldn't have thought of that. Of course. Best pruning shears 2015. Can update that to 2016. And still going through here. Let's start our filtering process here. Let's put 4 words there. See what happens.
Okay.
Still pulling up our last keyword.
These are all high from what I can see, advertiser competition. So that's good.
Yeah. These are going to be hopefully just because, I pulled these straight off of Amazon. So we know they're products, they're actual items that people are buying.
Okay.
Right. So that should be the case. And we've got so many there. I don't know. Should we do reviews? That was one of our filter.
Yep.
Head shear reviews, folding pruning saw review. And a lot of these are somewhat repeats. But, and then maybe let's just do a couple of others. Let's see if there's any. Nope. No, it's just 4 or 5 word. Best pruning shears for roses. Oh, that sounds like a winner right there. Okay. So we'll stop here and then we'll look at these. Does this make sense what I'm doing though? Very similar process to what we did last call.
Yes.
Then I'll just start coming in here. I mean, if you want, you could look at the ones that have higher traffic if you don't know where to start, right? Okay. Look at the ones that have the lowest competition and the highest traffic. So, well, this one's got 390 searches, so let's see what we find. And so we've got a couple of websites. So this one is 18. It's interesting. This website's less than a year old, but it has a domain authority of 73.
Yeah. So that means that it's got some major juice links?
Yeah, I guess so. Huh. That's interesting.
Wow.
So we've got those couple of potentials.
Okay. Does it matter that they're in the bottom half of the first page of Google? Does that?
No.
Okay.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
So I'm going to pull this guy up. Thoroughly reviewed. Interesting. Oh, see, they're all over the place too.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is kind of a good sign. I mean, if they can be all over the place, non-focused, and they're still ranking for these gardening tool keywords, I mean, just think of what we could do if we were focused all on gardening, because then your links become more relevant. The links to you is going to be more gardening type related. They're going to be more relevant.
Okay.
Interesting. This guy's getting a lot of traffic, but he is all over the place. Yeah, he's not a lot of
best air hockey table. Yeah.
Yeah. But it looks like a lot of great keywords you could come in here and cherry pick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, why not come write about best air hockey table and best bed sheets and best wiper blades? We want to be focused. We don't want to write about all of these.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, I will say that's a good sign, but since this website isn't really gardening related, it's hard to look at all the other examples of gardening type keywords they might be ranking for. Now, here's one, gardentoolreview.com. I think we're going to have better luck with this as far as garden keywords. And it doesn't look like some crazy authoritative. I mean, they're just using a WordPress theme. I can already see that. In fact, I think I know what theme that is. I think it's an Amazon theme.
Okay.
Not that matters, but it's just another niche website creator.
Okay.
And whoops, where am I going? But let's see what else they're ranking for. Not on Amazon.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
So they are getting, not a ton of traffic, but they're ranking for 977 keywords. All these interesting, huh?
Wow, those are interesting.
Yeah, weed burner, weed torch reviews, best gardening tools. Huh. So what do we do with this, right?
Yeah. What do you do? What does this mean?
Well, this means for me that I think it's interesting enough to maybe keep looking at some more gardening tools.
Okay.
I can see that low authority websites are ranking quite well. And we've seen a couple of potential, lookalike type websites, if you will. Let's see. I would move on to a couple of these other keywords is what I would do. Well, let's go to the best pruning saw. Why is it not? There we go. We've got urbantuneup.org and best weed eaters. Boy, look at that. Domain authority of 10. That's awesome. I love it.
And then there's 22 at the bottom. 9.
Yes, there is. Plantazoid. Okay. Cool, man. I love the name.
Urban Turnip.
Turnip, yes, Urban Turnip. And so let's see. Let's hope we find one that's getting. Oh, come on! I wanted better traffic than that. So, hey, they're ranking for some stuff, but nothing that makes me go, man, I definitely want to model my website after them.
Okay.
Right. Not quite yet. That's not enough traffic. But there's lots of best weed eaters. I wonder what he's trying to rank for. Probably best weed eaters. There we go. So he's getting into the much more interesting amount of traffic. It's not that old.
Mm-hmm.
So this, I would call this a good example of one of those lookalike, those weak websites that we would like to, that might make sense to try and emulate.
Okay.
Right? So I'm not saying, yes, we should definitely go into the gardening tools niche, but I think I've seen enough to say that, yeah, there's a market here. You could build a good niche website in the gardening tool niche.
Okay.
I just quickly, we found 3 or 4 pretty weak websites, including that one that gets almost 4,000 organic visitors a day. Let's look at Plantazoid just to kind of confirm.
Okay.
And this would be my next step. I'd be like, okay, I'm excited. Let's see if we can find 5 or 6 other examples and jot those down. Right?
5 or 6 other doppelgangers.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. And so this website's actually getting more traffic, 8,000 unique visitors a day. And what was it was a 22 domain authority?
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, and they're pulling up really interesting keywords, LED grow lights, plasma grow light, lots of variations of that, right? Like you could try to rank for LED grow lights exactly as is, but you might want to put best LED grow lights or LED grow lights reviews or, right, to make it slightly easier to rank for and take some traffic away from this guy.
Okay.
So, which it looks like he's doing best LED grow lights. So, yeah, just from this quick research, I mean, like I said, we found 3 or 4 pretty good websites that we could try to model. Not necessarily that we're trying to model ourselves after them, but they've proven that a weaker website can rank in this niche.
Okay. So because of them, we know it can be done, and
yes.
And they also provide us kind of a varying source of other keywords that we can kind of expand into.
Exactly.
Okay. So like 4 or 5 doppelgangers.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. So that's what I would do, and like I said, this niche would get a green light from me.
Okay.
Like this one's good to go. If we wanted to do this one. What it comes down to is, are there other niches you're also interested in, and which one are you most interested in, right? After you do some research, you might find 3 different niches, this gardening tools being one of them. And you just have to decide which one do I think is best. But this one has a green light. You could totally do it. I mean, there's hundreds of gardening tools. There would be lots of interesting informational articles like how to grow tomatoes or whatever.
Right.
That would make perfect sense to build a very large website around.
But so the niche would be gardening tools, or would you would build a website around?
I would still call it samarasgardening.com.
Okay.
Something general, right?
Okay.
And so maybe the first 3 months, all you do is write reviews of gardening tools because those are super easy to rank for. They're very product focused, and you're going to make the most money off of those. But as you start to see some traction, you then start writing tutorials on how to garden and maybe expand a little, right? But it still fits perfectly under the umbrella of samarasgardening.com.
Okay. Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yep. I wasn't sure. It's like when we looked at the kickboxing and we saw that, I don't know, the gloves was a good keyword. I can't remember. But then I didn't know what to do with that. Do you make a site about gloves? Obviously not, right? You make a site about kickboxing.
Right.
And you focus first on gloves, and then you expand into other parts of the market.
Exactly. And like with this gardening one, there might be other slightly unique angles that you would end up going after. I don't know. Maybe there's gardening furniture and different things, but all it's sort of related to gardening or yard work, or right?
Okay.
So you sort of plant your flag and say, I am willing to write about anything gardening related, but I'm going to start by focusing on gardening tools.
Okay. Sorry to make you go through this again. Now it seems a lot more clear.
No, absolutely. I'm happy to go through it. I think this is, like I said, the most important step. And I am 100% sure there are many others out there in your same situation that are very glad to go over this again.
Okay. This has been great. Okay.
Cool.
Perfect.
So like I said, I mean, you could come in and, if I were you, I would look at a few other keywords. I would jot down, Plantazoid and those few others and, do 5 or 6 other websites that look easy to beat. And then maybe check a couple other niches, like our kickboxing niche and whatever else you're looking at. And then at the end of the day, we just have to pick one.
Okay, well, then I'm going to go back to the drawing board and I'm going to take a closer look. Maybe at those markets where I only found one keyword, I could explore those weak sites keywords.
Yeah.
And see where they take me. And maybe that will take me somewhere interesting.
Yeah, and kind of a little tweak that we did here that maybe I didn't as verbally express is we did focus more on product-based keywords instead of, because you were finding a lot of informational keywords, how to do this, how to do that. I think it does make sense to try and find those more product-based keywords from the get-go, at least for your seed keywords, just because they tend to be a lot of times easier to rank for, and there's more commercial intent there.
Okay, great advice.
Yeah. Does that sound good? I mean, so the assignment, I guess, is still the same as last call. Just try to find a few niches, and we can start comparing them and hopefully pick one in the next week or so.
Perfect. That sounds great.
Cool.
Excellent. Thank you, Spencer.
Yep, absolutely. So I guess we'll leave it at that. Unless you have any final questions, we'll just let you dive deep, do your research, and go from there.
I think I'm good for now. I'll be back with questions then, for sure.
Absolutely. That's what I'm here for. So,
okay.
Very good. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Spencer. Talk to you later.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.